Hello everybody and welcome to Spindle TV, finally. Yesterday we were supposed to have class last night, but my internet service provider decided not to have internet yesterday, all evening until about 2 o'clock this morning. It finally came back. So we had to postpone class to tonight, so thanks everyone for adjusting your schedule and joining me this evening. Hope you're all doing very well. Well, with our first video back for the year as far as our live classes and everything, I thought we would start kind of getting prepared for the upcoming holidays. You know, we're back in that cycle again at the beginning of the year. And our first kind of, big holiday that's going to be coming up, there's probably others and everything, but the one that really sticks out as a great opportunity to make some projects is Valentine's Day, right? So we always enjoy taking a break from our everyday jobs and stuff and production and things like that and making something fun and enjoyable for our significant other. So that way they don't, it keeps them happy so they don't complain while we are at the CNC machine doing other stuff. So every once in a while we got to make them something good. But all that kidding aside, I've got some different elements for some different signs, and we're going to kind of put something together. But at the same time, I also want to take a look at, for a lesson, for the kind of the first part of this lesson is how to take something that's not so great and redo it. From time to time, we go online and we might purchase a project or something, or might have a project given to us or something along those lines, and we bring it in and it's just a disaster, from the get-go. And we can still take that concept and go through and kind of clean it up. So I'd like to show you an example of what I'm referring to. I'm going to go ahead and import into the Vectric software. Now, speaking of, in the Vectric software here, I have a job set up, and I'm working in Aspire, but everything I'm doing tonight can be done in Desktop, Pro, and Aspire. There's nothing that's specifically Aspire functions that I'm doing tonight. Everything that I'm doing can be done in all three of the programs. I've got a project that's about 11¼ inches wide by 18.2. We can round that up, kind of going with the golden ratio there, but 18.25, 18¼ 3/4 inches thick. I'm going to be touching off on the material surface for this project, and I will be starting from the bottom left corner of the material. So with that being said, in the job setup, you can see some of the vectors and stuff that I have over here, but I want to bring in a completely different vector project. And it's actually one of the projects that I have that I've got to clean up myself anyway. But if we go into here and we open up this project here, this 5 years, right? Let's I want to import that. Give it a second to load, and let's size it down to an appropriate size. And let's get over here at the board. Okay. Now, on this particular project here, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and size it to kind of fit my board, and my board is 11¼ so I'll go ahead and get we'll go about 11 inches here, and then we'll take and center it up on the material. Okay, now if we take a good look at this, if we take a look at this project from a distance, and it would help, hold on a second, it would help if you could actually see what's going on here. Hold on a second, guys. Let me get this going here. Everybody's yelling, hey, show us your camera. All right, bear with me a second. We are on camera number 3, and let's move me down to here. All right. What do I have? I've got a microphone sticking up in there. There we go. All right. Now, let's start over again here really quickly. I've got a project here that is 11¼ by 18¼ right? Simple project board. I'm going to be touching off on the material surface for that project. And I'm going to start at the bottom left corner for the project. I've got some vectors and all that we're going to be working with a little bit later. We're going to come up with some pretty cool stuff here in just a minute. But I want to talk to you about a project, something like this, which is a very cool project in itself, the kind of the concept, right? I've loved you for the last, and in this case, 5 years, right? It could be anything. 5 years, 60 months, 260 weeks. That's 1,826 days and nights, or blah, 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 all the way down till, the absolute seconds, right? But and it's a cool layout, absolutely. I want to kind of emulate it. I want to change it to the different dates and all that. But I'm gonna stick with the 5-year sign here and everything, because if we look at this sign, this vector that I imported and everything, all the work's been done, right? But let's take an actual close look at this project and everything, and let's look at our lines. So the lines of the vectors are atrocious. They're absolutely horrid, right? Every single one of them. So the font, the tracing, whatever it was, the conversion of this file into a vector was absolutely just horrible, right? So love the sign, love the layout, love everything about it and everything, but got to redo it. Now, I already know for a fact that I'm not going to be able to have the same exact font. I'm going to try to find a font that's pretty darn close, so, it has that same concept. But I do know that I have to basically recreate this from scratch. I could try to use a tool in the software, which is the Curve Fit tool. The Curve Fit tool would help me in some instances to kind of clean up the vectors and smooth them out, a little bit. And the only thing is, it's not going to make them perfect. It cleaned it up some, but not a lot. And you're going to run into this from time to time. You're going to, you might be purchasing projects that you've, found on Etsy or eBay or what have you. And you bring this project in and it's, there's something wrong with it, right? And, the first thing you're going to do, because you paid for it or what have you, is you're going to go to the buyer or the seller and say, hey, there's a problem with this. Can you fix it and everything? And that could turn into a big pain in the butt. Timelines and all are keeping us rushed. So we need to be able to take on these types of challenges and, fix them ourselves, right? So the lesson here, you guys know how to type out text, right? And things like that. The lesson here that we're going to start off with is I'm going to teach you how to draw a ribbon, very basic, simple ribbon that kind of emulates this here. And then very easy for us to create some hearts or have some heart vectors. And over here I've got some hearts that we can work with to replace those. But right now we're going to start off with our text. Let's try to find a text that will match this. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look at my fonts and I'm going to see if I have anything that matches. So for me, I'm going to open up a tab in a web browser and I'm going to use wordmark.it. You've heard me talk about WordMarket a lot of times, and it's a website that helps you choose your fonts. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in the number 5 here. And what else is in my project? I'll just do the word years, right? So in that word market, I'll go 5 and then the word years, right? And we'll go ahead and take a look at my fonts to see if I have any fonts that I think, you know, would look good, or if I have anything that would be, you know, similar. And what I'm looking for, some identifying factors, is my Y has this nice little hook here. Okay, I'm looking for something along that line. My R also has this kind of hook here. And, you know, those are going to kind of be my 2 identifying factors. And then also on the 5, you know, this kind of really decorative 5, right? And so I'm really not worried about the numbers that much and all, but I would like to get the text somewhat, you know, along those lines and things. So on that word market, what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of just scroll through my fonts to see if anything stands out at me that I would think, you know, hey, it's not the exact font, because I might not be able to find that exact font, but it's gonna still look pretty darn cool, right? Because it's about the overall project, not, you know, you know, just the small parts and everything. So as we go through and we're looking at the fonts, if nothing jumps out at me and everything, then I might even pop over to dafont.com and see if I can, you know, find anything over there. And Gala script isn't looking too bad to me for something. And let's see here. I don't want a script, a cursive script, where the letters are together. You know, I want it separate and everything. And I don't want my letters to be capitalized and all, because I didn't write them in capitals. I wrote them in lowercase and everything. So I think I wrote them in lowercase. Let me see up here. Yeah, I did. So what I want to do is find something that kind of, I don't know, looks good, that's close. Let's see here. All right, so Lucidia calligraphy looks very close with the little hook on the Y, the little hook on the R and the A. So Lucidia calligraphy, I'll keep that in the back of my mind. And monotype cursive also looks really good to me. I kind of like the way that looks. The 5, I'm not worried about the 5 at all. I can redraw the 5 to add that little heart decorative swirl and all that stuff, because I know I'll never find that as a font. Let's see here. So monotype cursive. Let's go just quickly look at a few others. Okay, so I think for my design, I'm going to go with monotype cursive. Let me make sure that my design has no words with all capital letters in them, because monotype cursive does not look good that way. So I think that's the text that I will go with here. It's not exactly the same, but going to be close enough for me. All right, so let's go into our text box. Now I'm going to emulate this. Of course, you can do the math, right? If it was your 10-year, 9-year, 8-year, 7, 6, 5, you can find out how many months that is, how many weeks that is, how many minutes, how many days, how many seconds, you know, that kind of thing, and lay out this whole entire design the same way. For time's sake, because I want to try to get as much as I can in time, I'm just going to redo this 5-year sign, right? First thing I'm going to do is type in the I have, H-A-V-E, loved you for, period. And let's move this off the board. Okay. And let's go to our monotype cursive. in. Oh Lord. My mouse is a little scroll happy. There we go. Slow down there, son. There we go. And go bold. All right. So now for the first one, for this one, I'm actually not going to use monotype cursor for the first one. It's going to be for the last one. For the rest of it will. For this one, I'm going to use the where's it at? Let me get past here. There we go. Okay. Darn it. That was Arial black. I need Arial. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's going to be for my banner. And then the rest of it is going to be the monotype Corsiva. All right, so we have the word the last, and they did that in all capitals, so I will not use monotype Corsiva for that because it does not look good. So I'll just stick with, I don't want a bunch of, I don't want 1,000 fonts, so I'll stick with the Arial for this one. The last, we'll leave that. All right, wonderful. And I'm just laying out all the text. Then I can organize and size and all that stuff when I'm ready to go. Now, 5 years, I want, that's two separate things. 5 is one thing, years, 60 months. The numbers and the letters and all are going to be different. And because they're different size fonts and things like that, I'm going to take note of that and everything as I lay this out over here. Okay, hopefully you're with me, guys. Stick with me, we'll get there. And how Paul asked a quick question, how did you do the math? So when we Google is your best friend, right? So if I type in 5 years to months, Google has a very cool calculator at the top of the page. Okay. And what I can do is I could do 1 year, right? Equals 12 months, right? I could change that months to days. I could change that days to weeks. I could change that to hours, you know, seconds and everything. Seconds I'll have to figure out because it throws off this formula. But minutes, you know, so 1 year is 525,600 minutes. So I can do that. For each year, I can, you know, multiply, right? So my multiplier is by 1 year. So if I do 10 years in here, then I get this formula again, right? It's just because it's too big to fit in the calculator and all. So all I have to do is multiply 10 by 525,600, right? Because that's what 1 year is. Okay, so you can use that little calendar. Google is your best friend for that. And it breaks it down. You got all kinds of, you know, microseconds, milliseconds, which don't get that crazy with it, right? Centuries, all that stuff at the top of Google. So easy enough to be able to kind of do the math and use that kind of calendar in there. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and type in the number 5 and we'll set that aside. This is going to be the monotype Corsiva from this point. Okay, 5. And then we're going to go years. I'm going to hit enter because I can break my text block into individual lines, right? So I'm going to go years, months. Let's go lowercase. That's weeks, days, and let me get my letters working here, and nights, or Just going down, looking at all the words, and I'm typing it in a big text block because then I can break it up into text lines. Let's see here. Hours. So let's hit enter again. Put each word on its own line. Hours. Minutes. Let's zoom in and see what this text is here. Which is period, 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 right? So let's get that. Which is period, period, period. All right, and then happy anniversary. Happy. That's all capital letters. I'll still do it in here because I can change the font this way. Happy anniversary. Make sure your spelling is correct. Mine is not. There we go. All right, and now the seconds and everything, when I get down to the seconds, that's all written out in one long text block. Okay, that's written out in one long text block. So we will, when we do the math and everything, we'll write that out and all. But for right now, this will get me started. So I can now take this text block here, and I can right click and I can break that text block into individual text lines. Break it into lines. Now each of these are different texts that I can change the font, I can change the size, I can move it around, all that wonderful stuff to lay out the sign, right? And let me go back into this one where the word years here. I want years to be a lowercase y. And the word months, I want that to be a lowercase m. Okay, wonderful. And so now each one of these words are individual text that I can lay out, right? All right, now let's focus on the banner, right? I'm going to show you guys how to draw a ribbon from scratch, okay? All right, so first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start off with a rectangle. Okay, the rectangle can be whatever size you want it to be, just a nice little narrow rectangle. Okay, all right. On the rectangle, next thing that we're going to do is we're going to go into node editing mode from this point on, and we're going to reshape this, and this is just going to be the outer perimeter of our banner. So on our banner, let's go into node editing mode. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to insert a point here and drag this point in. That's going to create our little pendant end of it and everything. Doesn't need to be too far or too crazy. And we're going to create an arc here. So a nice little zoom in. You want a nice little arc. It's going to be just a slight, nothing too gradual or great or anything. Arc. This one actually goes outward like this. Okay. And then somewhere right around here, we're going to insert a point. We're going to insert another point, and we're going to drag this point down and underneath. Now, if I can't snap these two, if I can't drag this point, this first point down underneath exactly straight in a line, very simply, I can select this point up here, hold down the shift key, select this node down here, and now I need that line to move left and right. So that's the X axis. So if I hit the letter X on the keyboard, that will pull that in straight. Okay. All right. So we want to, have that that line pulled down and underneath. Okay. So that's going to create that. Now we're going to come over here. Let's go ahead and get this side of the banner. Again, doesn't have to be too crazy. We're going to turn this into an arc. Pull that arc up ever so slightly. We'll be able to reshape this and stuff once we get everything kind of laid out. this an arc, and this will kind of come upward, very small amount. All right, and the same thing on this side. We're going to come back, pick a distance. It doesn't, matter. You can change things around and stuff. We're going to add a point, move over a little bit, add another point, and then we're going to pull this point down. And again, we want it in line. We want it kind of straight down. So I'll take and select that node first, hold the shift key, select this node last, and hit the letter X to pull that straight. And I moved this line down. I didn't want to do that, so I will use that same method, but I'll click this node first over here, this node second, and up and down now is the Y axis, so I'll hit the letter Y on the keyboard to pull that back up. Okay? Okie dokie. Now, between these 2 points, this is going to arc up. So we'll create an arc. And of course, somebody's like, hey, Laney, can I just find a picture of a banner online and just bring it in and trace it? Sure you can. Absolutely. Right? I'm just teaching you how to use node editing to draw your own banner. Right? But you could absolutely go in and find a banner online. You could import it in. You could trace it and be done with it. Right? So that is absolutely for sure a time saver, right? But it would be nice to know, if you know the concept of drawing the banner, that wavy banner and everything, you could change up the styles and draw all kinds of different banners and stuff. And it's just a good skill to know, right? Okay, so now on here, once we have our shapes, this line here and this line over here, we want a slight little arc to it, okay? So turn that into an arc, and we want to zoom in so you don't have to draw too gradual of an arc, but we want a nice little, slight little curve to it, okay? Same thing over here, because you got to think of it like kind of flapping, right? So arc, pull that arc down, hold on a second. Zoom in, we just want a nice little curve, okay? Very subtle, nice little curve. All right, now on the bottom line here, the same kind of concept that we did here with the legs coming down, these 2 nodes coming down, we're going to do this at the bottom, but they're going to be, in different, they're not going to be so close together like we did the top, okay? The bottom, basically, when this comes through, we'll go right about here and insert a point. Insert a point. And then somewhere over here, we'll insert a point. And what you want is this point here is going to get pulled up. Okay. And actually, sorry, I had it backwards. This point is going to get pulled up. Thank you very much. Above the one that's the first one, the one that's closest to the corner here. And we want to, let's pull it out a little bit further. Pull this out. And once again, we want it straight. So if I select this node, this is the node I want to align to. The node I want to align to is selected first. The node I want to align is selected last. Hold your shift key and select that one last. And that line needs to move left and right, so that's the x-axis. Okay. All right, and then we're going to do the same thing here. Let's grab a node out here. Let's go right about there. Insert a point. Come over here and insert a point and pull this up. Now, these 2 nodes, first of all, let me align these 2. So I'll select this one and that and hit the letter X, okay? But these 2 nodes I want to align as well. And, everything. I want this kind of square at the bottom and all. So number 1, this node here, I'll use this as the example. So that means this one is the one I want to align. Up and down is Y. Hit the Y. This one is what I want to align to here. Actually, we'll do this. We'll stay on this side. This one's the one I want to align to. This is the one I want to align. Hit the letter Y. Pull that down. All right. So we're good there. And then we're going to take and make this between these two nodes an arc. Oop. And we're going to subtly pull it up. Okay. You can kind of start seeing things, you know, kind of take shape. Now, these lines underneath here, no straight lines. We need some curves, some nice gradual curves, right? So in node editing, we're going to insert, not insert, we're going to make that an arc. Kind of pull that up. Not so dramatic, just a little bit. Something like that there. Same thing over here. Pull that. All right. Okay, now I want to kind of emulate this down here, and if you notice, it has this kind of vector sitting right above the top arc, you know, giving it kind of just an added element there. And so I want to add that up here as well. So what I'm going to do is in node editing mode, I'm going to momentarily, I'm going to take and cut the vector here. I'm going to cut the vector here. And I'm going to take this vector that I just cut free and I'm going to offset it. And I'm going to offset it, let's go 1/8 of an inch. And, oop, wrong direction. I want to go inward. And I want to do it again. Offset it again. There we go. And now I want to take and rejoin. I only wanted it for that purpose. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and select these two vectors here. I think my mouse is tripping on me. Why are you tripping there, bud? That's funny. It's like my shift keys. There we go. My shift key wasn't working. We're going to go ahead and join, not group, join those two open vectors back into one. Okay. Now, on these two vectors right here that I just created, I'm simply just going to join or close them with a straight line. I'm going to click that button twice, and that will close it off on both ends. Okay, simple enough, right? So we have that little element there. All right, now my ribbon, let's go ahead and we're going to offset the ribbon inward twice. So sometimes it's going to be one time, other times it's going to be twice. For this particular design, it's going to be twice. So we're going to offset inward, and we'll go an 1/8 of an inch. I don't want sharp corners, and we're going to offset once, twice. Okay. Hopefully y'all are following so far. Okay. All right. So now we've got basically our outside profile of our ribbon, and then these inside areas here. Once we got to do a little bit of trimming and stuff like that, but they're going to make up that kind of what gives that ribbon that look when it's carved of kind of that where it's folded back on itself. Hopefully I'm not boring you guys. Hopefully you're getting something out of this, and we're going to be moving on. I promise the ribbon's not going to be the whole thing, you know, but we're almost there. Just a couple more steps and we'll have a ribbon. Okay. All right. So on this ribbon, these two vectors here, these two offsets, they actually are going to get connected together. So what we need to do is we need to go into node editing mode here, and we need to delete this span, this arc right here, as well as this span here. Okay, that arc. And we need this arc to come down, straight down. And so what I want to do is I'm going to back this one up ever so slightly, right about there. And then I'm going to take a line, and I'm going to draw a line straight down to right about, right there is fine. Space bar to finish that line. Same thing here. Draw this line straight down, but it's going to go just a little bit longer. And I'll move the nodes around in just a moment. Let's go over to the other side, and we're going to do rinse and repeat. We're going to do that same step again. So we're going to go into node editing mode, remove this arc, or that span, that arc, it's what it is, and this one as well too. Now these two upper lines here get deleted. We won't be using those two upper lines. We'll delete both of those, that one and that one. We're not going to be using them at all. Oops, hold on. There's still a connection somewhere. Let's see here. Delete that. And delete that. Okay, there we go. All right, now once again, just like we did the other one, we're going to back this node up just a little bit. And then we'll take a line, draw this straight down, space bar to finish, and draw this one straight down. Now, that's not where these lines will end or anything. I've got some cleanup and stuff to do. Okay. All right. So what's going to happen is this bottom row here, this line right here, is actually going to be connecting to this first line here. Okay. So I need to cut this arc away right here, and we'll go into node editing mode. And we're basically going to delete that span, that arc. Okay. And let's see here. This one, we'll do the same thing. Delete that arc. Delete the span. I keep calling it arc and it threw me off there, the word span. Delete the span. Span is an arc, line, or curve between two nodes. All right, so what we need is, if you look at the way this banner is laid out, if we select this, let's get out of node editing mode, this inside line here, this inside line is going to come down, and it's going to kind of create a bit of a triangle that connects to that lower offset. The upper line connects to our upper line here, right? So, and then it dead ends on the bottom. It's weird, but that's what it is. So what that means is in node editing mode, we're going to cut the vector here and back here. We're going to delete that line and that line. And these two bottom pieces here are going to get joined together. We'll just do you could do a straight line, you could do a loop, you know, a small curve kind of thing like that. That's fine, right? Now, this line, we're going to use our extend tool now. We're going to extend this arc over to that line. So the extend tool over here, we click on this line, and then we click on this line, and it's going to extend it over there. So it'll go to its natural, tangent where it was heading. I don't think tangent's the right word, but it's natural point of intersection. And then we're going to take our scissors and trim away that excess. Okay. Over here, we're going to go into node editing mode, and let's raise this up just a little bit. We're going to take an arc tool, come over here to somewhere right about here. Pick a spot, doesn't matter. Right about here, and make that a subtle little curve. Very subtle curve. And then we can go straight up. We'll use the line tool. Straight up. Over. And down. Space bar. And then we're going to draw another line. Where's my line tool? We'll draw a line right. I moved it. Hold on a second. Let me snap a line. Straight up there. That's fine. Okay. And then again, use the extend tool to extend this over to its natural point of intersection. and then we will use our scissors to trim that away. Okay, so that will be the vector design over here on this side. We need to repeat that over here, right? So rinse and repeat. Node editing. Remove this arc. Delete that span. Do the same thing here. Delete that span. Come down here at the bottom. Cut the vector there. Pick a spot back here somewhere and do the same thing. Cut the vector there. Delete these two lines. Oops. It didn't cut. Hold on a second. Let me cut that again. There we go. Delete and delete. These two lines here join with a smooth curve to close them off. Okay? All right. This line extends. This one extends to this outer one here. Oops, hold on a second. Don't do that. Control Z. Extend from here to, oh, it's wanting to, I wonder why it's wanting to do that. Why are you wanting to do that? We don't want that to happen. So bear with me. I'm going to go into node editing mode. I'm going to straighten, I'm going to pull this node back a little bit. I'm going to straighten this line out. This line's kind of crooked. So I'm going to select this arc up here. Let's delete this point. There we go. Select that, and hit the letter X. That's still a crooked line. All right, I don't like that line at all, so I'm going to delete it, and I'm going to draw a new line. 90 degrees down. There we go. All right, now let's extend this. Oh, I didn't draw that line long enough. Hold on a second. Work with me, boys and girls. Work with me. Go. All right, one more time. Extend this to there. Wonderful. Take our scissors, trim that away. Wonderful. Take and draw an arc from here over to somewhere right about here. Small, subtle arc, something that kind of follows that bottom, you know, there. Line straight up, over, pick a spot, any spot, doesn't matter, and line. All right, use the extend tool, bring this one over. All right, now this one's wanting to intersect way back here, so that's fine, no problem. Let's take this line and move it to the left. Let's see where that wants to intersect naturally. Right there. Okay, that's fine. So we'll go from there to there. We'll take our scissors, trim, trim, trim. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our banner. The only thing missing is our text. I have loved you for. So we'll take that and let's size the text down. We're going to go into Edit Text Spacing and Curve tool. We're going to pull this up. We will size it up a little bit. All right, go back into Edit Text Spacing and Curve tool and reduce that curve ever so much. And I'm actually going to turn it just a little bit. I need to change my pivot point. All right, rotate. I'm going to take my pivot point and move it over here because I just want to pull this side down just a little. Okay. All right, so that is my new ribbon. All right, now let's take a look at what it would look like when it is carved. So let's go ahead and of course, you can move your nodes around and you can make it more flowy, more fat, more whatever you want, right? You know, you can go into node editing and you can make your arcs more dramatic. The customization is whatever you want it to be. So I'm going to take my this out of here. I'm going to take this one and let's close that rotate tool. Always close your tools when you're done with them. I'm going to size this down and get this into place. I'm going to center it left and right on the material, and I am actually going to come in on in node editing mode. I'm going to select all of these nodes right here on this left side, and I'm just going to use my right arrow key and bring them in just ever so slightly. And then I'm going to select, go back in here, I'm going to select these three on these points and bring those in and down ever so slightly. Same thing over here. I'll select these. All these black nodes in the end, using the left arrow key, I'm going to bring that in a little bit. And then I'm going to grab these three, bring that down and out. Okay. All right, let's make sure I'm still centered. Let's make sure I'm still centered. All right, and let's V-Carve this. V-Carve toolpath. I'm going to use a 60-degree V-bit. I'm going to use a clearance tool because this area in back here is going to get carved away. So I'm going to use a very small tool, probably an 1/8 inch end mill. So I will remove the 1/4 and I'll remove the 1/16. I'll just use the 1/8. Calculate. Oh, forgot to join all my vectors, ladies and gentlemen. When we did all the line drawing and everything, these are still individual vectors. They're not connected together. So let's select all of this. Turn off the text for a moment. Go over to our join tool, and we've got 8 open vectors. We want to close them all off. Done. Now let's go ahead and V-carve that. Okay, and it would help if I had the text selected when I did that. Wonderful. Preview that visible toolpath. Okay. All right. So there's our little banner. Right, right, right. Okay. Now, let's take this, move that up here. Well, actually, sorry, we're deleting that. The last, this, we're going to size that down. All right, they had some rectangles, so I'm just going to draw one. Okay, they had little rectangle lines or what have you. And then I'm going to take and hold my control key down. And I'm going to drag out 2 more copies. And then I'm going to select all 3 of these, hold down my control key, and drag out a copy of that. Okay. And then I'm going to take all of this and I'm just going to bump it over just visually inside of that opening there. Cool beans. Let's bring this all down because I may want a border or something. Wonderful. All right, so we've got that done, right? So you get it, okay? And then from there, we are just going to be taking, you know, our text, and we're going to be, you know, replacing our text, our little hearts, right? Got hearts here, so I've got a vector of a heart that I can use. We'll bring that over here. And some hearts in this case, and you guys are going to get this file. I'm going to give you this this file that you can play with and you can change it around, but hopefully you'll be able to make your own now that you know how to. We're going to size this down. Okay. And much smaller. And then if we hold the Control and the Shift key, we can size down the small heart, and that would be for the hearts that are double, right? You got your single, your double, single, double, single, double, single. That way it creates two different looks when it's carving, right? You know, one's going to carve the heart out, one's going to carve the outline of the heart, one's going to carve the heart out, one's going to carve the outline of the heart, right? So, you know, you can come in and adjust your size, right? Hold that Shift key down, keep it centered. All right, get it somewhat right about whatever size. And if I hold the Control key down, I can just drag and kind of snap over to those others, right? And then I'll take my bigger heart, hold the Control key down and kind of snap to the center of these. This is where smart snapping and geometry snapping, the two buttons at the top, where it's very helpful to have those on and all that good stuff. Now I'm going to select all of this and I'm going to hold down my Shift key and I'm going to turn off the good hearts, right? So turn that one off, and that one. Turn off that one. These two, I'm holding down. When I say turn off, I mean click on it, right? I'm just clicking on them to deselect them. And that way I can just hit delete on my keyboard to delete the bad ones, right? So I've got the good and the bad. Okay. And, you know, the 5 has this kind of like little swirl with a heart here, right? I think that's a cute little touch. We could do something like that as well. We'll take our good heart, hold down the Control key, make copies, right? Why copy what you can draw? Or why draw what you can copy? Let's get this size down. Now I'm going to go into node editing mode. You know, if we look at this heart here, okay, let me just move it out here. Let me make it bigger so we can all see it. Right, it has kind of this shape to it, right? It's not your traditional, just, you know, it's got a little bit of a curvature to it and all. No problem. We're going to rotate the heart ever so slightly. We're going to go into, let's make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see somewhat. Can you see that on the screen? You can see that on the screen. All right, rotate it ever so slightly. Go into node editing mode on the heart, and we can start to kind of pull things in. Now, I don't want to have to deal with all of these nodes right here. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my curve fit tool, and I'm going to try to reduce down some of those nodes. So that way, you know, I can kind of minimize those as much as possible. Let's go back into that curve fit tool. Let's see if we can do a Bezier curve. And let's see if we can bring those nodes down some more. Okay, let's go back into node editing mode. That's more workable for me. So I can go ahead and kind of start to curve this heart in. Don't want to get too dramatic with it. All right, let's pull this one out a bit. All right, now I want to kind of start cleaning up the curve. So smoothing things back out. Let's go here. Want it nice and rounded and everything. Pull this in just a little bit. Okay. Let's make this a little bit more subtle. There we go. All right, so with that, I'm gonna get rid of this little hump over here. I'm gonna pull that in just a little bit. Zoom in if you have to. All right, I just want to pull that in ever so slightly. I really don't like that there. Pull that in. Okay. All right, so with that, we can now size that heart. We can get rid of this one. We can size this heart down really small. Okay, let's bring it over here. And essentially, this 5 is going to wrap around this heart, right? So what's the best way to get it to kind of have that shape is I'm going to take my heart and offset my heart. So I'm going to offset outward. We'll go 1/8 of an inch outward. Okay. And we'll go from there. We'll go 1/4 of an inch outward from there. And I can utilize this a little bit. We'll take and somewhere right about here, we'll go into node editing mode again. And we're going to cut the vector here. We'll cut the vector here. Let's see. Cut the vector here and here. Get rid of that and that. These two here, we will join those lines together by bringing the endpoints to a common point of intersection. I'd like to see that a little bit more rounded, more smooth. So I'm going to take and use select this again. I'm going to round it off at the end here a little bit. And then I'm going to take, now there's a lot of nodes on these two offsets. When we created the offset, it created 1,000,000 nodes again, right? So if we look at it in node editing, there's a ton of them. I don't want to have to deal with all those. So again, I'm going to use my curve fit tool to try to help me eliminate some of them, right? Now, you know, I'm able to work with those a little bit cleaner and easier for myself because I'm actually going to be kind of spinning this around a little bit to kind of tie it into the 5. So the 5's kind of wrapping around that heart, you know, a bit. And let's get it somewhat coming into the shape. I want to narrow this up. All right, let's go in and delete this span right here. So I'm going to cut the vector here. on the 5. I'm going to cut the vector back here. Actually, I'm going to delete the span back there. And let's get rid of that. Delete that. All right, let's do some scissor trimming. We need to trim, get rid of this and this. We'll clean up our little mess right here. We'll clean that up and make it a little bit smoother. Over here, we're going to definitely clean that up. All right, we want to make this look a little bit more slimline, right? So go back into node editing, and I'm going to remove this point here and this point right here. Okay. I want to basically go from point A to B. All right. So on here, I'm going to bring this in just a little bit closer. I'm going to curve it out just a little bit. Now, this curve where I deleted those points, I want to bring that down to kind of like a more natural curve here. And I want to get rid of these points. If they're not doing me any favors, I'm going to get rid of them. Let's get rid of this point here. Okay. And what I want to do is let's get rid of that point. I want to pull this line down so it kind of just basically follows along, right? We can bring this in just a, oh. And sorry. And so we're able to you know, kind of recreate or create something similar. I would like this to be a little bit sharper here, so I'm gonna delete this point and this point. I'm going to delete this point, and I'm going to bring this one down and back, down and back. I like to just kind of finish that off. And on the heart, I'm going to have the heart, get rid of this point right here. Get rid of this point right there. And I want the heart to kind of follow the curve. All right. Want it to follow the curve of that 5 a little bit more. All right, so once I have that, right, so easy enough to kind of, you know, create something similar to that, even though we don't have the right font and all that good stuff. We'll get that size down and into place. And again, we're going to just somewhat get it about something like that. Get rid of the old one and, you know, recreate the sign, right? Okay, so you have that, right? And then it's just all change the text, change the fonts. We got the words, you know, and all that stuff, because all of our fonts were just totally destroyed. They were crappy, you know, or what have you. We want to clean that up. Now I'm gonna, at the end of this, these files are gonna be available for download in the description and everything, and this will be one of the signs in there, and I will have it all cleaned up and everything finished for if when you download. But give it a try with the 10-year, 5-year, 8-year, whatever year it is, and you'll be able to use this as an example, right? So let's take, for a moment here, let's zoom into the selected item, and that way where it sits right there, you can pause that on your screen so you can kind of get the layout, right? But you'll have the file too also. Now let's move on real quickly and let's see what kind of questions and all. I've been looking at the design and I haven't, really been making eye contact with you guys and girls on the camera. So let me take a look at some of our questions, right? And see what we've got going on here. Let's see here. Let's see here. Looks like y'all are having a conversation amongst yourselves. Wonderful. Okay, Harvey says, for the curve handles, do they control both lengths and directions? So when you are in node editing mode, and when you're in node editing mode, your blue nodes are typically for a curve, Bezier curves, and when it's like a teeter-totter, when you work with one anchor, it's going to teeter the other anchor, okay, and everything. So to turn that off, you just turn the smoothing off on the node, and that will allow you to control one side of the line without changing the other. Our black nodes are kind of fixed points for straight lines or arcs kind of thing, and unsmooth points basically. And you can go through, if you've got a line curving just the way you want it in one area, and then you go to start and you're like, oh man, that just totally screwed it up or whatever, just turn the smoothing off of that point, and then you can kind of adjust the other line accordingly, right? Just keep in mind, it's going to kind of create a little bit of a kink right there where that node is, and also try to, on your adjustment, try to adjust it to where it, it has somewhat of a decent flow, and everything. But so Harvey, I don't know if that answered your question, but hopefully it did. Okay. Let's see here. Chris Martin, you should don't have the outline copy. Okay, y'all are having some kind of side discussion or something, I think. I'm not sure. Okay, it looks like y'all are having a side discussion talk. All right, so very simple to go through and make the changes to clean up this bad, this bad sign, right? And I'm going to clean it up for you, and I'm going to give you guys this file for, give you something to play around with. But let's move on really quickly to something a little bit more interesting, right? And I'm going to show you some other alternatives and stuff too. Bear with me. Let me open up a second window. And I'm going to show you another sign alternative that you can play around with. So here is, we were talking about banners, right? Banners, all kinds of neat little banners and stuff. Here is a concept with, carving. Let's take a look at what that would look like. That is number 5. 1, 2, 3. Preview the visible tool pass. I'll give you the vectors for this one too. You can change the text, right? and all, something to play with. But this is a nice kind of carved raised sign. Let me turn the color off and everything so you can see the detail in it. Just something kind of ornate and fun. Very, you know, when putting things together, basically there's a lot of places where we can get vectors, panel screen vectors of different flourishes and they're called decorative panel screen vectors, of different shapes and everything, and we can kind of put them together to create all kinds of unique things, right? Well, here's what I want to do in the project. So you're going to get this one too. I just wanted to show that to you because you probably saw that in the thumbnail and everything. You're going to get this file too, and then you can just change the text. But what I want to do with you is we're going to create using some of these vectors over here. We're going to create a very cool one very cool project is going to be kind of like a picture frame, but a booklet. What's going to be the best way to do this? Hold on a second here. Let me switch back to this and back to full. All right. So what we're going to be creating, I wish I would have drawn this up in SketchUp and everything, but imagine, if you will, a frame, okay, a square frame panel, and in the middle it's going to have a pocket cut out for a photograph or something like that, and there's going to be two doors on the outside that when they close, when the doors close, there's going to be a heart right there. It'll be like a little window. So this project can be this, or it can be that open, and it'll have the photo. But when it's closed, the heart, you can still see the couple in the photo, right? You know. So we're gonna make a pretty cool window, right? And basically, it's going. Let's take a look at this vector here, just to give you a concept. So imagine this little picture frame that sits on a mantle or tabletop or what have you. When it's closed, like a little book, you'll have this heart here where you can see the photo. But it's going to be hinged so that you could open it up and set it on your mantle, stand it up open, right? And you can have your photo or your saying or whatever's going to be in here, whatever, right? We're going to create that, okay? We're going to create that concept, and we're going to create a couple of other things, but that's going to be a fun one to do very, very quickly. All right, so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to take this, I'm going to move this to a new layer, and I'm going to call this the 5-year redo. 5-year redo. And I'm going to turn that visibility off and go like that. And I'm going to, the heart here, we're going to need this in the mix. And I have all kinds of, what I did is I've got different types of panels that I want, that this design could be made out of. I've got some hearts. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to show you what each of these look like when they're V-carved, so you can get a visual concept of, you know, some of the things. So this here, if I were to V-carve this, right, and I'm going to take the flat depth out of it. Should be okay. Shouldn't go 3/4. Yeah. All right. So preview the visible toolpath. Okay, right. So that could be one of the panels. Let's give it some color, right? Whatever. And all, but you know, that's a bunch of hearts, right? So even making something like this is just drawing a heart, making the heart different sizes, rotating it in different ways, and kind of fitting it in and all that stuff. I mean, it could be a little trivet, you know, for her or him or whatever. but we could use this as our frame. We could cut all the way through and stuff like that. Whatever we want to do. All right, so that's the heart one, right? Pretty cool. Very simple to make. An ornate, these are called panel screens. And you can get vectors of these different panel screens. They all kinds, and they could be redrawn. They could be multiplied and added on and everything. But if I were to V-carve this one, oh, I have the hiccup, sorry. If I were to V-carve this, reset the preview, preview the visible toolpath. Okay, nice. It could be made as a border on all four sides. It could be a top and a bottom border, or two side borders with the names in the middle, right? A quick concept using something like this. On my skinny board here, I would rotate this 90 degrees. No, actually, I would not rotate this 90 degrees. I would just thin it up. Not too skinny. Put this over here. I'm going to move it relative to its current position. I'll move it over 3/8 of an inch. I guess people don't realize there's class tonight. Oh, that's what you're calling about. You're telling me that you can't see my video. Thank you, guys and girls. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Let's do that one more time. I wonder how frigging long ago that was. All right, let's switch back to camera 3. Let's go here. Okay, let's back up to what we were doing, what we were talking about. So, what you could not see was me kind of explaining, let's start back here, is on that little frame, that little heart frame, imagine that frame being closed, right? Imagine a seam right down the middle here. Imagine that frame being closed in this open heart. You can see whatever's in the little pocket behind, whether it's a message, whether it's photo, whether it's what. When it's open, when the door is open, you know, it's hinged, right? This is going to be hinged. So we'll create, you know, a part very similar to this that's going to be hinged. And then our little pocket area could be whatever. It could be a photograph. It could be a quote or saying, or I love you, or be my Valentine. And it could be a little wooden card, if you will. Like, right? You know, it could be a wooden card, right? You know, be my Valentine card or something. Or, you know, I love you forever, right? It could be a little card. Or it could be a picture frame, or it could be whatever. So this is open. This would be kind of closed. Well, we're going to make that from scratch. In the meantime, I was showing you some different background options. So one of the options I was showing that you did not see is this wall of hearts. Very simple to make. Simple heart shape. Size the heart, different sizes. Rotate them around, kind of fit them in wherever they can. And all that happy jazz. And, you know, if you were to carve something like this, it could be a little trivet and all. It would look something like this. Right? Cool. And, you know, you could paint it different colors or what have you, or not, right? So little hearts and all, that could be some kind of cool background. That could be the background for our little booklet and all. Panels, screen panels are vectors. You can get those online, screen panel vectors. They come in different shapes and sizes and everything. On this particular one here, if I were to V-carve this, to give you an example what it would look like, 60-degree V-bit, no flat depth in this case, and preview this visible toolpath. All right, awesome. Let's turn off the color so you can see the detail there. Right. So we could, you know, take something like this and we could, let's say I could narrow it up. I could slide it over here, move it. I'm going to move it relative to its current position, relative on the x-axis, a 3/8 of an inch. Pop it over there. I'll make sure that it's centered up and down on the material. I can mirror that to the other side. Okay. All right, and then, you know, I could, here, let's just, let's do it this way. I love you more, right? Whatever. And let's fix the word you there. Let's throw that there. I'm going to go bold, and I'm going to actually kind of stretch this a little bit. Not much. All right, and from here, let's take, which one do we want to take? Let's take this. Let's take this heart here. All right, we'll throw that down here, and I want to make sure that's aligned left to right, centered, which it is. Wonderful. And let's bring this up just a little bit. Make sure it's centered left to right. There we go. All right. So take and V-carve this, V-carve toolpath, no flat depth, no clearance tool, calculate. I've got some overlaps and it's going to be in my letters. So let me show you those just so you know. With monotype cursive, let me turn this off. With monotype cursive, the R's and the what is it? The R's and one of the other letters have overlaps. Let me ungroup this. And let's do the vector validator. And in this case, it was the M that had this overlap right here. So we need to take our scissors and trim that away. Okay. All right, so one more time, select all of this and V-carve toolpath. No flat depth, no clearance tool, just a 60-degree straight up bit. Right, preview the visible toolpath. You know, that's basic, right? We could dress it up a little bit more. We could throw a little flourish in here or something. You know, we could put wife, honey, baby, whatever, you know, her name, you know, up at the top. We could bring in the I love you down centered a little bit. But, you know, we could, it's just something, right? You know, it's nothing spectacular, you know, but it's something. We could be, you know, creative, and it has a little bit of style to it. We could do a pocket in here and do raised letters. Let's do that really quickly so you can see. We'll take a rectangle. We're gonna snap a rectangle here. Bring it up just a little bit higher like that. Make sure it's centered up and down. Awesome. Let's bring our heart up just a little bit. Cool beans. And let's offset that rectangle Not offset. Let's just, I'm going to leave it the same height. So I'm going to bring it in. I'm going to hold the shift key and bring it in just a little bit off here. All right. Now let's V-carve that. V-carve toolpath. This one is going to have a flat depth. I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch. 60-degree V-bit. 1/8 inch end mill is fine. I want to, not waste a whole lot of time. So I'm also going to throw a 1/4 inch end mill into that mix. So we'll grab a 1/4 inch end mill as well. Calculate the toolpath. Reset the preview. Preview the visible toolpath. Okay. Could give it, let's turn off the color so you can see the detail. But we can now give it all that raised color, that raised effect. Right? We could take it one step further and just select all of this. Oops. All of this. We could get the exclamation point in there. We could use a texturing toolpath starting at 1/8 of an inch with an 1/8 inch tapered ball nose. Maximum cut depth 1/8, maximum cut length 1 inch. That's good. I'm going to bring this 1/8 down to a 1/16, just something subtle. Overlap 30% is great. Step over half the diameter of the 1/8 inch ball nose bit. That's great. 10 degrees. We'll add in an 1/8 inch offset here and calculate this. And all this is going to do is just give the background just a little bit of texture, right? Just a little bit of something and all. And, that could be a nice little sign to hang up on the wall, right? These are just basic. There's nothing extravagant about them, but I'm just trying to give you guys some mental ideas for Valentine's Day, okay? And, so hopefully the, where'd my screen go? There we go. Hopefully, might jog something, right? Now, here's the fun project. We're going to do this one really quickly. We are going to put this, move it to a new layer. We'll just call this I Love You More layer. Turn that off and there. Okay. All right. We are going to take a panel, something very similar to this one right here. We are going to take this vector, we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. So I'm going to hit the letter 0, or the number 0, on my keyboard to rotate that 90 degrees, okay? My project board, I want to create a new sheet for this one because I want to create this to be horizontal, not vertical. So I'm going to go with a new sheet, and I want this to be my little heart card / frame, right? Whatever we want to call it. Heart card / frame. Okay. On this, we're going to give it a size. I'm basically going to just take my 11 1/4 and my 18. I'm going to reverse those numbers around. So 18.25 here and 11.25 there. So it's in a horizontal state. All right, cool. And I just hit cancel like a goofball. Let's do that one more time. By 11. All right, this is going to be the fun one. So I want to go back into sheet number 1, and I want, I need this heart, and I need this panel right here. And these panels, I mean, they could have been anything, right? This one with the trees and the leaves, this one with all the flowers and all. They're called screen panels, right? Screen panel vectors, okay? We've got this kind of tree with the heart-shaped, roots and stuff. Could have been any of these. But this one, I think, is going to look really, really neat. So I want to take these two items, and I want to move them. No, I want to copy them to the other sheet. because I want to leave them here as well. Okay. All right, now let's go back to the other sheet, heart, card, and frame. Okay. So first things first, this guy right here needs to be sized to fit my board. So we're going to size that up. We're going to make it 18¼ by 11¼ and then we're gonna center it on the material. Cool beans. Okay, now our heart we're going to center on the material. Now this is going to be the window, right? When these two things close on this hinge part and everything, when they close, this is going to be the window. So we want it to be a decent size. So I'm going to make it just a little bit bigger. I think about like that. That'll be good. Now, I am going to create an offset of this, an offset. I'm going to offset that heart outward by, let's see what 1/4 inch looks like. Nope, 1/4 is going to be good. As a matter of fact, I want to go 3/8. Let's see here, 375. Yeah. Okay. I want a nice offset, and I want sharp corners. So undo that. I want sharp points, offset. Okay. Now, if we look very closely, the bottom of my heart has this line right here, right? Because my other heart had a flat spot. The 2 points didn't come together. So I'm going to get rid of that offset. Control Z to undo. And I'm going to fix this heart. I want that, I want to go into node editing mode. I'm going to delete this span. Delete the span. And I'm going to use my extend tool to extend this line to this line. So I get that nice point there. Okay? Cool beans. All right. I'm going to make sure that that is a joined closed vector, and now I'm going to offset that out 3/8 of an inch. Okay, awesome. This offset is what we are going to use. Okay, this offset is what we're going to use to sorry. Are y'all trying to get my attention? Somebody keeps messaging me and I thought it might be y'all again. Let me look and see the comments. Do we have a ping or bell feature in the chat? Who are you trying to get? All right, Books. Who are you trying to ping or bell? Was that the, or was that older one? Let me see here. Sometimes closing the window and reopening help. Maybe stacking hearts painted with polarized paint, right? You could do that. All kinds of good ideas. Okay. All right. So here's what we're going to do. On this offset here, I want these other vectors to be removed from inside this heart. So I'm going to take, and this is going to be this 3/8 inch wall here. That's going to be my part. So I need to take this offset right here, and I need to offset it another 0.010 of an inch. So I'm going to go 0.01 offset outward, and that little offset vector is going to be my trimming boundary. So now I'm going to take this shape here, okay, this shape here, and I'm going, it's all grouped together. I'm going to select this small little offset last, And I'm going to use the trim tool, which looks like a little barber pole, or the icon looks like a little barber pole here. And I'm going to clear inside the boundary. The heart, that offset is the boundary. So when I clear that, it's going to get rid of everything inside of that heart and redraw the shapes and close them off and everything. Okay, so it clears everything out there. And now that boundary, I no longer need it. I only did that so that when it redrew these shapes would be 0.010 of an inch away from my vector lines of my heart. And they would not be overlapping, causing me issues and everything. So now I've got this window in this panel, right? So far, so good. All right. Thanks, Brooks. Yeah, I caught it. Thank God I caught it, you know, early. All right. So basically, we offset that heart, the single heart, to create this wall, right? This wall, I went about 3/8 of an inch, so it's roughly about the same width as some of the, you know, other ornate shapes in there and everything. And then on that outer vector of the outer heart, I made another 0.010 of an inch offset, and I used that as the trimming boundary to trim all of this to clear out the inside. And by using that boundary, when it redrew the shapes, it drew them so they were 0.010 of an inch away from my heart line. So I don't have overlaps and issues and all that stuff in my vector validator and all. All right, so now we've got that. Wonderful. Okay. Now, this is quite long, okay? This board is 18 inches by 11 1/4. Realistically, we'd probably want this to be much smaller if it was going to be a card shape. If we were going to use thin 1/4 inch wood, let's say 1/4 inch material, we'd want this to be smaller so it could be like a little card, right? Or something. I'm going to do this as a 3/4 inch project, 3/4 inch wood and everything. And I'm going to go ahead and leave it at this 18 inches, even though that is quite long. I mean, that's out here. So when that opens up, because that's the heart's going to be split in half, and that's going to open up, it's going to be even larger, right? Okay, so it's going to be even bigger and stuff. Now, realistically, we'd probably downsize this project quite a bit. But I think this is, for me, what I wanted. I you know, this is going to be kind of a standout piece that, you know, it could stand out. I could have a box of chocolates there waiting. I'll have it, you know, closed, and then when they open it, there's going to be a message in there. But when that heart closes, there's going to be something, some kind of centerpiece that you can see through the heart, because that's getting cut out, right? So it's going to be a big project, right? Kind of deal. Now, what we need to do, though, is we need to split this down the middle, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically take a rectangle, and I'm just going to draw a rectangle from the top to the bottom, and I need to right now mentally figure out what the size of my rectangle is going to be. This basically kind of seam, when these two things come together and everything, that seam and all, when these get cut, when I cut this, I'm going to center this on the material, and I think as far as the seam, okay, where these two parts come together, we're going to be pretty narrow. I'm probably going to go maybe a 1/16 of an inch or something. So let's go into the, I could even go smaller, but I got to think about my bit, right? I got to think about the bit that I'm going to be able to use, you know, to cut through this and stuff. So I think what I'm going to do is we're going to go 11 1/4 by 0.0625, a 1/16 of an inch. And I'm going to make sure that it is centered. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through and start trimming. So with the scissors, I can just manually kind of do this, working my way down and everything. And before I do anything, let me make sure my design is centered on my board. It is. All right, my border on this shave here, my border doesn't go in a straight line. I kept wondering why I wasn't on the edge there, but over here I am. You know, it's not going in a straight line. So node editing to the rescue, right? So node editing, I'm going to select on this vector here, hold down my shift key, select on this vector here, and I need that line to move up and down, so that's the letter Y on the keyboard. I'll hit that, and that should pull it right up where it needs to be. Very good. Let's check the bottom real quick, and let's make sure that I'm not... Yep, I'm crooked on that one too. So let me find which lines. All right, this is the one that's not on the corner. So let's take, I just moved that to the corner, so I'll use that as my alignment one. Select this, hit the letter Y, pull that into alignment. There we go, on the line. Let me make sure my left and right lines are. Okay, that one's good. And that one's good. Okay, so my square was not quite square. All right, now that it's square, I can take my scissors and I'm going to start at the top. I'm literally just working my way down here. I'm going to trim this rectangle, but I need it to overlap. So I'm going to hold the shift key down and let it overlap the line just a little bit. But now I could, since these all have to be redrawn and everything, I could do that trim tool again and clear everything on the inside of this vector away. But I'm actually going to use this vector, so I'm just going to do my scissors. It's just going to be pretty simple to go down with my scissors. So first things first is we're going to trim this and this top line. That's going to create the divide in between here. And then we're going to come in here and get rid of these two parts here. And this part is going to come around and around to here. So this line will get removed just like that. We're going to come down here, get rid of that and that. This part right here will come down and that'll be an opening. Okay, you can start to see that coming through now. So this on my heart, let's do this down here first before I trim the heart. This one and that one. This way and what are you doing there, Laney? Control Z. That one and that one, thank you. I was trimming the wrong line, like, wait a minute. Oh, hold on a second. This is a window, so there's nothing that should be here. So I trimmed these wrong lines here. Undo that last one right there. All right, Laney, get with the program there, buddy boy. So that goes away. Then this line and that line go away. Beautiful. Okay. Coming down this and that. And then that and that. This and this. Oops. That and that. And then down here at the bottom. So now what I have effectively done is I have created 2 doors. Okay. These are the 2 doors, or the vectors for the 2 doors. Right? Okay. I wish I had 3-dimensional so I could you know, spin them around so you can see the, you know, the backside of it. But those are the doors. Those are going to be the vectors for the doors. Okay. All right. Now, those doors, all right, let's measure right here, right? That's kind of going to be our little hinge area. Let's see here. Where's my measure tool? I'm going to measure horizontally from here to here. We're about 0.6461. Okay, that's a good number to know. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a rectangle. I'm going to offset this rectangle inward 0.6461. Was it 6461? Let me measure that again just to make sure. I don't know why I deleted it, but 6462. So it varies. It varies. So I'm going to just go with something somewhat similar to that in the width. We'll round it up for me. Let's undo this and let's round it to 0.6875. Beautiful. Okay. Now, these doors, let me group this together. Group G for group, right? Take this one and group it together. G for group. These doors, when this is closed, are going to cover what's in here. Okay? Now, this whole area here is going to be my message area. Right? But in the center here, that is going to that's gonna be something. It's gonna be a photograph. It's gonna be something, right? In all, and so let's move that door out of the way. Actually, let's put those doors back here for a moment because I need to this heart, this inside heart shape. So I want to Control C, Control V to copy and paste. Control C, Control V to copy and paste. I'm going to take this side of this door, move it out of the way and group it back together. Take this side, hold down that shift key, turn off this, pull that up, group that back together. Now I have the heart right here where that heart, where those, when the door closes and everything, that gives me my window. So now I can go into node editing mode. Here, I can delete this span and this span. I can delete this span and this span. I can use my extend tool to extend this line to there. All I want is the inside vector. I'm not worried about the outside one. Extend that to there. and then I can delete that outside heart. So this is where my pocket's going to be. This is the vector for my pocket. All right, so let's do a join on this. So it's one closed vector, join. And let's offset this outward. Three-eighths. Good. And let's do a tool path. So here and here, we're going to do a pocket tool path. Cutting 1/8 of an inch deep, I want to use a 1/4 inch end mill. I don't think I need anything smaller than that. It's going to round off right in here. I'm okay with that. And stuff and everything, because it's the inside of the heart that, you know, is going to be my big thing. So what that's going to do is that's going to create this small little shallow pocket for the backboard. I'm going to carve some text down in that 1/8 of an inch in just a moment and everything, but there's that. Now on the inside of the heart, that's going to be a pocket tool path, and it's going to go down 1/8 of an inch as well. Okay. Now in here, I've got to figure out, I'd like to put something. Imagine a picture of a couple, right? I don't know, a cute photo, right? A cute couple. Let's go online and let's as a sample, right? Let's go online. And let's find a picture of a couple, right? Let's see, happy couple image. All right, images. Let's, oh, that looks Valentine's Day. All right. Okay, let's use this one. We're going to save this image as, we'll just save it as that. Let's import that image. Now this is going to be a real image that we would cut out to whatever shape or whatever, but we're going to, in Vectric, we're going to import this image. Oh, let's see here, just for reference purposes, right? Reference purposes. So let's grab this happy couple. Okay, where did they go? Let's try that again. Save image as, and it went to downloads. Went to downloads. What am I trying to import here? Why am I not seeing them if it went to download? All right, hold on. Let's do this proper. Okay. What are you doing? Go away. All right, save image as. I just need you for a reference there, buddy boy. It's a JPEG. I'm going to just call this happy couple. And Vectric. Import. Downloads. It's the freaking Ghost in the Machine. All right, let's try this again. We'll use a different. That one's haunted. Let's find something that looks. They look happy, I guess. All right, let's go save image as. Oh, I can see why. Having it saves it as a J5 instead of a JPEG. That's why it wasn't showing up. Okay, let's go in here now. Import the from our downloads. This couple here. All right, now I want to take and draw a circle. Let's see, I'm going to have that circle right about there. So I'm going to take that, let's get that couple somewhat in that circle. And let's crop that image. Oh, there we go. And then let's take these two items and move it something like that. Okay. So this is, again, for reference purposes only, kind of show me like what I can do with a photograph, like my photograph, you know, of my significant other or what have you. But I want it kind of in that area. And now I can put in some text over here. Okay. So let's put in some text. Let's go with Mike Sarah. I'm going to use a different font. Bigger. All right, now I wrote this as a text block, 2 separate lines so that I could break it into individual lines. I want to move Sarah down here. Okay. Mike is going to stay up there, and then I am going to go back over to my other sheet. All right, and I'm actually going to go back into my other sheet here. I want this to copy over. Okay. So many hearts, so many hearts. Oh my goodness. Okay. Now, I would kind of like to see this as plural. Loves. Mike loves Sarah versus love. So I could recreate this. Or I could fake it till I make it with an S, attaching an S there and using a script, something. So I've got some script. Let's go down to the bees knees. And I'm just going to type in the letter S. I wonder if I could make that look good. Let's find a different font and see if it would look better as a different font. No, it's got to be more scripty. I can recreate that, but if I don't have to, I don't want to, right? You know, so Mike loves Sarah would be fine, but I really think it should say loves kind of deal, because that would just aggravate the shit out of me. There we go. Okay, so I can make this work. I am going to go into node editing. I'm going to get rid of that. I'm going to extend. I'm going to use my down arrow key and my left arrow key just kind of to extend this line, right? I'm just pulling it out. I haven't turned or rotated this yet or anything yet. I'm just kind of getting it somewhat extended out. And I'm going to take the S here. I'm going to rotate it ever so slightly. Okay. And go into node editing mode. Pull this over. Take my scissors and, oops. Take my node editing. Oh, you son of a gun. Delete. Oh, you son of a gun. Bear with me. Node editing. Get that to overlap. Oh, it doesn't look that natural, but you get the idea. Let's see here. Let's go into node editing. Let's bring all of these down. Bring these up. Okay. I'm gonna not fuss with it too much. Okay. That will work. Let me see if I can get this. Okay, Mike loves Sarah. All right, so that is, you know, I'm going to end up cutting another little pocket right here for the picture to kind of sit down in and everything. That's kind of where the photo is going to go. This is going to be probably raised text. And, you know, imagine, if you will, oops, let's get into normal selection mode. With these doors, you know, with this thing closed, let me group this together. With it closed, you're going to see this, right? That's what you're going to see, because that's going to be cut open, right? That's going to be hollow there. So you'll see that Mike loves Sarah, and it'll be this nice little decorative panel that looks really nice. I wish I could rotate this, open it, but when it opens, you know, there's going to be text and stuff over here. I haven't finished writing that text at all, but when it's open, because it's going to be hinged right there, you know, this will be kind of the centerpiece, but there's going to be something written over here as well, a little V-Carve message, you know, and all that stuff, right? And See you, Dave Gatton. Have a great night. But what could we... I mean, there's so many messages and quotes and things like that. Let's see here. Valentine love quotes. Let's see. Every single day I love you more. I may not be your first love, first kiss, first sight, or first date, but I just want to be your last. Aw. You know, there's all kinds of goofy things that we could write, you know, for the significant other that we love. You know, those things that make the little heart go pitter-patter. For it was the... what does that say? For it was not into my ear you whispered, but into my heart. It was not my lips you kissed, but my soul. Oh my God. I'm going to gag. I'm just kidding, but that's terrible. All right. So, you get the idea, right? We could have some text in here, right? Let me just throw something in there just so you can see what this effect is going to be. We're going to go with a monotype Corsiva is fine. And I'm going to see I'm going to bring the cheesy side of me out and let's see what I can do here. Let's see here. How do you spell whoa, whoa, AA? I love you more than I can say. Let's see. What is my... what am I going to do there? Let's see here. Text. If I had to choose between loving you and breathing, right? That'll be one side. And then the other side is I would use my last breath to tell you I love you. Aw. Okay, let's see here. By the way, I have models with that very same similar quote in there for sale at online. All right, I want to break this. All right, if I had to, we don't need a capital letter on the lead 2. It needs to be lowercase, backspace T. If I had to choose between loving, need to learn how to spell, there's no E in loving, loving you, and breathing, comma. Let's go a little bit bigger. Okay. On this one, I would use, hit enter, push that down one line. My last breath to tell you I love you. Let's see if we can get that to fit. Last breath, we can do that on one line. Delete that space out of there. All right. something along those lines, and then let's go to our sheets, and let's grab this rose and this little swirly heart. Copy them to the other board. All right, this rose will go up here. That will go there, and this guy will go there. Okay, so we have successfully filled up every little bit of spot that we could here in this. All right, let's do some carving. So these items here, now this, we remember we've already carved a pocket down 1/8 of an inch in here and everything. So those items there are going to be a V-Carve toolpath, but they're going to be starting at 1/8 of an inch. And I won't need any flat depth on that and no clearance tools. And we will calculate that. Okay, wonderful. We'll preview it all in just a moment. Now, on this one, I would like this stuff to be raised. And on this, where the photo is going to go, I would like a little bit of a wall. So, my photo is going to be just ever so slightly smaller. And this heart is going to be offset, or this circle is going to be offset inward. Just 1/8, let's go 0.1875, 3/16. Good. All right, almost sized that just right. Okay, good enough. Okay, now these inside ones here, I want this raised, so I'm going to select Mike and Sarah, you know, whatever names you choose kind of deal. And we're almost done, guys. We're about to wrap it up here as soon as I get Mike and Sarah selected. Mike, Sarah. I want the outside here and this heart here selected. We already created that pocket toolpath on that, but we're going to do it a little bit differently now. We're going to do it as a V-Carve toolpath with a flat depth. So a V-Carve toolpath starting at 0, top of our board. Flat depth, I'm just going to go down 1/8 of an inch. That's good for me. I'll use these two tools. 1/4 and 1/8 inch end mill is fine. And I am going to calculate this. All right, cool beans. That means I'm going to get rid of this pocket right here. We're going to delete that because we just replaced it with that V-Carve one. And then the inside here, that's where the picture's going to go. I'm going to do a pocket cut on that. And I'm going to go just a 60. A picture's thin, right? So I'm going to go just down really just a small amount, 1/16 of an inch. 0.625. 1/4 inch end mill is fine for that. Calculate that. All right, so here's what this is going to look like as a whole. Let's make sure. Let me see what we got going on here. Everything looks good. All right, preview all the tool paths. Make sure that y'all are seeing my screen and not me and all that good stuff. Preview all the tool paths. Oh, and E on breathe. Did I say, hold on, let me, on breath. Stop. Hold on. Up. Breath. Breathe. I put breathe. Let me thank you very much. Get rid of that. Let me make I would use my last breath to tell you I love you all. All right, let's recalculate that tool path. not that one. All right, reset the preview. Preview all toolpaths. You're very welcome, guys. We're wrapping it up right now as we go. Okay. All right. So this is going to be the backer, right? I could probably do a little bit better with that rose, get a little bit more detail in it and stuff, but you get the idea. So basically, this is going to be kind of the back, right? And you know, we would have a little photo here. Okay, so that's going to be, that's that. Now we're going to add it, we're going to move all this stuff right here, move to layer, new layer. We're going to call this our Mike and Sarah layer, Sarah back. All right, turn that off for a moment. Come in here. Okay, we're going to bring this over. We're going to bring this one over. Now, I only have a 1/16 of an inch of room in between these two, right? And I want to, utilize as much as I can a 1/4 inch end mill to cut. And let me get this into position here, to be able to cut this out and everything. But I'm going to be using a variety of bits and stuff. But this is going to be a closed door. Now I have a choice. I can cut all the way through this like a lattice almost, if you will, on that design, so that when the door is closed, you can see that there's messages or something behind it. Or we could just V-carve this to a flat depth of some depth. That way, when the doors are closed, everything is hidden until they're open, right? That kind of thing. I'm going to do it where it's hidden. So these doors, let me just do one for right now. Actually, hold on a second. These doors are 9 by 11 1/4. Let me create a new sheet. The sheet for the doors. That's the smart way, Lainey. Add a new sheet. This is going to be the doors. We'll call it that. And the size of the material. Oops. Delete that. The doors and the size of the material only needs to be 10 by 11 1/4. All right, and then we can take each of these, move them to the door layer, move this one to the door layer. Okay, one at a time. Let's move this over. And it doesn't matter where I put it because it's going to be cut out. So we'll just get it centered there. And we're going to do a V-Carve cut in here. Okay. And so, I need to ungroup this. I need to ungroup. And I need to turn off the heart. Okay. This is going to be all this stuff in here is going to be V-carved. So we're going to go V-Carve toolpath, 0 start depth, flat depth of, I'm going to go 1/8 of an inch for me. You can go deeper. It might look good deeper, right? I'll go 1/4. I'm going to use a 1/4 inch end mill. And I'm going to use an 1/8 inch end mill just to get me, into those smaller areas a little bit better. Calculate. Okay, that was wrong in so many ways. Hold on a second, that was wrong in so many ways. I don't want this outside trim being cut. Raw. Let me go back in there. Let me turn those off. Okay. All right, so I want these inside areas to be V-carved. However, they're tied in with this boundary. Okay. And that poses just a little bit of a problem. Bear with me just a quick second. We're going to wrap this up. I need to... This is going to all be profile cut out. That's the door. And I want these inside areas carved. All right, so what that means is for me on this one, these few little pieces right here, you know, my heart is not connected, right? So I could move the heart out of the way, right? But since I want to carve inside these areas here, and this is part of that profile border, I need to kind of close these off, okay? So it's a very simple fix for me. All I have to do is, if you remember, my heart just needs to get offset 0.010 of an inch. Okay. And I'm only doing this just so I can create the carving that I want to do. So let's get everything centered, air and all. And on my heart, I need to offset it outward 0.010 of an inch. If you remember, that's how far we went out to, you know, use as our trim border and everything. And I did go 0.010 of an inch, right? Ungroup. Yeah, 0.010 of an inch. Let me see what I did wrong with my heart over here. Control Z. Okay. I had things, when I moved around, when I shifted things around, they weren't grouped together. They are now. And I moved that heart off of its course. So ungroup that right there. Now I can offset that outward 0.010 of an inch, and it'll come right up to the line. There we go. All right. What that does for me is I can take this vector here and I can create both my carving and my profile with that. So I'm going to hold down my control key, drag a copy up here. So I have these two. And so on this one, the heart I'll get rid of the inside one so I can see what I'm doing. All right, all I need to do is I've got to close off these vectors, so that means I got to trim in between. So it's going to look something like this. Trim, keep, trim. Oh, is that going to cause me problems here? Yep, that's going to cause me problems. All right, guys, hold on a minute. I'm going to offset this out another 0.005 thousandths of an inch. just to get a slight overlap. And everything will be fine. All right, so now I should be able to come in and trim this away, trim that, and that. All right, I want to keep that. Get rid of this one and this one. I want to keep that. Get rid of that one and that one. Keep that. So I'm just trimming between all of these parts so that's where my carve is going to be for my V-Carve. And I'm just going to do one side. The other side will be the same. Okay. Now, what that's done by doing that, let me get rid of that. And there's another one down here. Yeah, that's good. Okay, by doing that, what I've done now is I've essentially created where I can turn off the border and all the inside vectors will stay selected. Okay. All right. And that's what I want. So let's get that back on the board. Centered on the board here. And we're going to do a V-Carve toolpath just on the inside stuff. So here we go. One more time. V-Carve toolpath. Sorry that we had to drop off there, guys. Preview that visible toolpath. Okay. Awesome. All right. Now, this profile cut right here, okay, we are actually cutting on the inside of this heart, right? And this is that 10,000ths of an inch offset, if you remember, that 10,000ths of an inch offset. So if you recall, I made this copy up here. This copy, I'm going to group it all together except for the heart, right there, that guy. That's my main heart. I'm going to group all that together. This way that I can take this object here, this item, and I can snap it right on top of this here. And that will give me my, I can now turn off the copy. And that heart right there that's selected, I can Control C, Control V to copy and paste. I can come back in and reselect that group again along with my heart. And move that back up, out of the way. And now I've got the actual heart. This is where we have to be cutting, not on this 10,000ths of an inch offset out here, but here. So this profile cut is going to come to here, but not on my original vectors for my V-Carve. It's going to happen up here with this one. So sorry guys, we're going to get there. Move that out of the way. That's my V-Carve vectors. This is the profile that I'm going to use for the profile cut. Center that on here. And you're going to know it's the profile cut because all this middle stuff is getting deleted. Okay. I just want the profile. And that profile this profile here, This will make sense in 2 seconds, I swear to you. Node editing. Cut the vector. Use the extend tool. Extend tool. And we're going to extend that to here. Down at the very bottom, we're going to go into node editing. Cut the vector. Right here. And we're going to extend this line. Come on now. Let's try that again. Extend this line to there. This way, I can now come in and trim all this away. All that can get deleted now. And this is the vector for my profile cut. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. That was a little bit of confusing, but this one's going to cut all the way through. .75. It's going to use a 1/4 inch end mill on the outside of the line. I won't add tabs for preview purposes, so we will preview that selected toolpath. Get rid of this waste area, and that is going to be one of the doors, and it's going to get hinged on the inside. You could use, for your hinges, you could actually use little hinges. You could use a piece of cloth, glued, like hot glued or what have you, or super glued, like crafty, whatever you want. I would probably use real hinges and everything, but that will be one of the doors. Okay, and we would do the same thing with the other door. Let's move this out. Basically, make a copy. Hold that control key down, make a copy. One's going to be for the V-Carve, the other's going to be for the profile cut. We'll use this one down here for the profile cut, and basically node editing mode. Make sure everything is ungrouped. But we cut the vector here. We extend it. Use the extend tool to extend that line to there. Down at the bottom, node editing, cut the vector here. Use the extend tool to extend that line to there. Zoom in so it snaps to it. And then use your scissors. All right. And on the scissors, basically, all that will go away. And we can get rid of all of this stuff. This is the profile. Let me just make sure I don't have that overlapping line again up here. All right, that's good. That's the profile vector for cutting the part out. So we can center that up on the board. Profile toolpath. Cutting all the way through. Calculate. That'll be that side cut out, right? That's the toolpath for that. And so now we can move this out of the way. Now you would create layers, create your different layers, and you'd put it on different layers so you don't have to keep moving them out of the way, so you can just turn the layers on and off. That way, if you have to recalculate your vectors, you don't have to move everything back. I'm just moving them out of the way just for, just because. To kind of, time's sake and everything. All right, so once again, this one gets ungrouped. This heart gets offset outward 0.010 of an inch, but we're going to add that extra 0.005, so it's going to get offset outward 0.015. right? That's going to create that little bit of an overlap. That way I can come in with the scissors, and we are basically trimming away that double line between each of the parts, keeping that one, getting the double line. That's going to be every other vector. Come down, down. All right, so all of this stuff in here, we really don't need this outside vector, there, because it's fine to be there, but it doesn't necessarily need to be there because it's not part of the V-Carve. So that gets turned off, and this is going to be V-Carve toolpath. Going to go 1/4 of an inch, that's fine. Preview that visible toolpath. Okay, and that's going to be the right door, or the left door, right? So now we've got these 2 doors that will, when they're hinged and everything on that back piece, they'll close up or they'll open up, and it could sit on the table, it could sit on the mantle, it could sit whatever, that kind of deal. So you got your 2 doors that will be hinged, and then on your art card frame, you've got your backboard. Right? Cool. All right. Well, that is it. And let's see what the questions are for Dave real quick. Laney, why did you use a V-Carve toolpath and end mills instead of using a pocket toolpath? Excellent question. And the reason for that is let's switch back to the doors. On the parts, let's go with the right door here. Visible toolpath. All right, there's one more. Hold on. Okay. These parts have small, sharp edges and everything. If I would have created this as a pocket cut, then I would have been subject to the diameter of my bit. So these parts wouldn't come to these sharp points, or these cuts wouldn't come to these sharp points. They would be radiused based on the size of the bit that I have as a straight pocket cut. As a V-Carve cut, I get these nice edges, nice beveled edges, and I get these nice sharp details because the end mill will come in and do the flat depth, the 1/4 inch end mill, the 1/8 inch end mill, and then the V-bit will finish off whatever the 2 end mills couldn't get, and I get these nice sharp details. If I would have done it as a pocket cut, and I'll just show that really quickly, if I would have done this as a pocket cut instead of a V-Carve, let's go the same 1/4 inch depth. I can't use a 1/4 inch end mill because it would not fit in half of those, so I'll use a let's go with a 1/8 inch end mill. Calculate. Okay. So first things first, some of the pieces did not calculate because the bit was too big to fit. Preview that visible toolpath, and we come in here and everything, and this is what that cut would look like. They would all be radiused. I'd have no details in my heart and everything, so this is what that part would look like as a pocket cut versus what it looks like as a V-Carve cut with a flat depth. Okay, get that nice radiuses and detail and everything in there. Okay, all right. Couldn't have you just mirrored door 1? Yeah, 1 door. I could have just mirrored 1 door, right? I could have created and just mirrored 1 door. But just in case my vectors are somewhat different on those panels, those and everything, I wanted to create as I you know, both different sides. But yes, I could have just mirrored door 1 and door 2, you know, the same. Absolutely, Troy. All right, so basically, in a nutshell, to wrap things up and say our oops, kind of our goodbyes or what have you. This project, there's multiple projects, right? This one is kind of a cool concept. You can take it and run with it. You know, it could be really anything. You know, this center visual area is when those doors are shut, you're going to see that because it's cut through, you know, the doors. But all the other stuff is hidden, and then when it's open, you'll see all those other messages, right? And things. That's a neat little concept. We also, you know, have our different concepts of, you know, another version of the sign here. And we, you know, going into our other project preview, let's see. One of these, let me back this up. One of these don't apply. So there we go. Preview the visible toolpath. This was our other, you know, kind of the one we did earlier. A little bit of a background. Oh, I knew that was going to happen. Yep. All right. One of those toolpaths did not belong. So let's reset that. I don't want to end on that note. Let's go back in here. Which one is it? So it's not that one. All right, that's our raised. That's our raised. And that's our raised. Preview the visible toolpath. Okay. And then there was a texture. Preview the visible toolpath. There we go. All right, so that was our other sign, right? Just a nice little something nice and decorative. Very simple to make and all. So lots of little concepts and ideas. Hopefully you got something out of it. Hopefully, you know, made the, you know, get the mind twisted a little bit. These files, I will make those 3 projects that you see here. I will make those available. Of course, you're going to have to change up the vectors, right? You know, because not everybody's name is Mike and Sarah. But, you know, at least it'll give you something to play with if, you know, it's a neat little thing. But also, go out on your own. What I'm going to also include with everything is I have a wide variety of vectors and roses. Here's another concept for that door. That's just kind of like a layout of visual. I wouldn't use that, but it could be a panel like this. We ended up using this panel for our project, but there's a lot of different projects and things that are in here. I'll provide all those vectors and stuff too in the file that you could go in and play around with. They are mostly V-Carve vectors, and the reset the preview the visible toolpath, you know, just simple things like that. There could be some kind of, you know, decorative panel for another project, right? Doesn't have to be anything related to Valentine's, but they're going to be in there, and everything for you. So just know that you'll have those vectors to play around with and stuff, all those original vectors and all, and from there you can create whatever you want. I will fix up and clean up the 5-year sign, but for any other year you'll have to relay it out your own self and do the math, right? Okay. All right, everybody. Thanks for everything. I really appreciate you. hopefully you got something out of tonight's class. I know it was a long one like normal, but we're going to leave it here. And we're going to end it here. And see you next week. Now, we will be back next Tuesday, not Wednesday, next Tuesday night at 7:15 p.m. We just did not do, we had to push it to Wednesday tonight because I had no internet last night, but our normal class nights are going to be Tuesday nights. You know, I thought about a Wednesday night, kind of a hump day kind of thing, you know, where it would be Wednesday night class instead of Tuesday. Y'all let me know, you know, comment in the video comment sections in YouTube or something later, you know, or, you know, shoot me a message on Facebook, and we might take a poll, Tuesday or Wednesday nights. It doesn't matter to me, either one of the two, but we're going to stick with Tuesday unless that changes. All right, everybody. Until next time, I'll see you soon.